Welcome to the 7-Step Pathway to Profit Formula series. My name is Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO, and throughout this series, we'll explore the 80-20 rule and how it can result in more time freedom and consistent profits. Each episode will break down key strategies to boost efficiency, increase profits, and help you get your time back. Let's dive in and start your journey to more time freedom and consistent profits.
Step 5 of the 7-step pathway to profit formula is focus on increasing the average dollars per sale. Some of the key strategies for increasing average dollar per sale is a strategy called bundling and packaging. Now, we talked about bundling and packaging as one of the components of a compelling offer, and it is, but it also can be applied to increasing the average dollars per sale. And here's how I increased the average dollar per sale when I was in the ski business. Every ski retailer in America bundles skis, bindings, and poles to create what is called a ski package. And it's definitely effective, but everybody does it. What we did when I was in the ski business is we took the colors of the most popular ski packages and created color-coordinated clothing packages of a parka, bib, sweater, and hat. So once the customer bought their ski package, which is usually the first thing they went and bought, we then showed them the color-coordinated clothing package, to which now their skis, bindings, poles, and outfit are all color-coordinated. But then, of course, we sold them color-coordinated ski boots and the color-coordinated gloves, and even, if you can believe it, color-coordinated socks, despite the fact that the socks were hidden from sight, covered by the ski boots. But they still wanted to make sure, because when they took their boots off in the lodge, they wanted to make sure that their socks were still color-coordinated.
I love that.
So you can imagine, by doing this, by adding this package of clothing that was color coordinated, we dramatically increased our average dollar per sale. And so another strategy is upselling and cross-selling. And when I say another strategy to increase the average dollar per sale. Upselling means offering a higher grade or quality or size of an item that the customer may be interested in at the point when the customer is ready to buy. There are many customers in the world that feel compelled to upgrade. These are people who always buy the highest grade of gasoline. These are people who always fly first class. These are people who always buy the best an industry has to offer. And they're not necessarily millionaires. They just feel like they're missing out if they don't buy the best. And because you don't always know if you're dealing with such a person, you should always upsell a customer to the next level up.
Right. Give them a chance to say yay or nay, right?
Right. To that next level, because they might be that customer who needs to buy the best, who wants to buy the best, who feels compelled to buy the best, who feels a fear of missing out if they don't buy the best.
Yeah. As always, do not negotiate for your customer or your client before the sale, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And then cross-selling, which simply means offering products or services which complement the item the customer is interested in. Once again, at the point when the customer is ready to buy. And the clothing package strategy that I just gave you also is an example of cross-selling. We're just selling across to another department. So if you notice, when describing upselling and cross-selling, I always make the point that these upselling and cross-selling opportunities should be presented when the customer is ready to buy, right at the point of sale. Because the reason for that is that 34% of prospects will buy additional products or services at the time of their original purchase if they're asked to do so.
Michael, I mean, that is so insightful. I think it's worthy of emphasis, right? You said 34%.
Right.
Wow.
And I'm saying, if you don't remember a single thing that I said today, please remember that one statistic, because it provides a tremendous opportunity to increase the average dollar per sale that you make with each customer. This 34% has been tested over and over again. And it to be true, it is true. And step 6 of the 7-step pathway to profit formula is focusing on increasing the frequency of sale. How often can you get a customer to buy? And this can be accomplished by creating loyalty programs with rewards, sending personalized marketing campaigns based on purchase history, offering limited time deals, and proactively reminding customers when they might need to repurchase based on their usage patterns. And Rejuvenating former customers is another one of those strategies that's neglected by business owners.
Wow.
Through our interview process, we found this to be true. These are people who have previously bought from you. Why not provide special offers and additional products or services to these customers who already know and trust you? They've already purchased from you. It's a strategy that is really effective and many times neglected. Don't forget about rejuvenating your former customers. It's a tremendous opportunity for people who already know you, they already trust you, they've
Yeah.
used your service. For one reason or another, they've drifted, but you can bring them back.
Yeah, Michael, it's a really important point, and it's also practical, right? So I recall from a number of our business roundtables, Michael, we had some business owners that were just literally like they were nodding their heads, right? I mean, they were just like in vigorous agreement on that. Now, one of the challenges with rejuvenating former customers is having a good customer database or
Good
some
point.
kind of a list where you keep in touch with customers. Did you want to maybe react to that, Michael? And
When I was in the ski business, we had 80,000 named customer list. The reason is that every time they bought, and at the time there was no email, but every time they bought, we got their name and address and we put it on the sales slip. And then we took the sales slip and we added it to the database. And so every time you make a sale, you must get the customer information, including their email address. By doing that, you now have an opportunity to market to them again and again and again and again. And it's really important that you rejuvenate those former customers and that you maintain that database, because without the database, it's hard to rejuvenate. So the final step, step 7 of the Pathway to Profit formula, is focusing on how you control your costs, both variable costs, which are the costs directly incurred through the production or delivery of the product or service, and what's commonly found in the cost of goods sold section of your P&L, and fixed costs, which are also operating expenses like rent and insurance that are, for the most part, the same amount every month or every year. And in most businesses, the largest part of their operating expense base, this is for the most part, fixed costs, is rent, payroll, advertising, and insurance. If you focus on managing just these 4 expenses, it will provide you the biggest bang for the buck when managing your cash flow and when managing your costs. Now, I'm going to talk about each one and how we could go about saving money in each of these areas, or what you should look at. First of all, rent. Business owners think it's literally impossible to renegotiate rent because they have a lease. But the landlord doesn't want to lose a tenant, especially a commercial tenant, that have to do another build out for another tenant and deal with all the costs associated with vacancy. And most landlords understand cash flow problems because many of them experience cash flow problems themselves through real estate downturns. But what I found to be the best way to negotiate with the landlord is to show them your financial statements and show them what concessions you need in the short term based on the financial position of your business. And in that situation, you do have to put your hat in your hand. And I've done this successfully myself. And I show the landlord how we're going to pull through the difficult time and how the rent concessions are necessary in order to pull through. Now, if you're not having a difficult time, you don't go about doing this. You do have a lease that you must honor. But if you are going through a difficult time and you need to cut the rent, then by showing all your cards to the landlord, put your hat in your hand and really showing the situation you're in now and how you're going to pull through, most landlords will play ball. And that's the thing. And by the way, a business and cash flow forecast is invaluable in that scenario because that shows the future, of how you're going to pull through. And if you have to, you can add the concession money that the landlord gives you up front to the back end of the lease, or you can add another year to the lease as a way to give the landlord something in exchange for the concession. But whatever you do, don't think it's impossible to discount or defer rent just because you have a lease.
Michael, is there a right time to have that conversation with the
landlord? First of all, if you have a business and cash flow forecast, you'll know in advance if there's trouble ahead, trouble brewing. Some business owners can right now expect trouble brewing, if they're starting to see some softness in their business. Otherwise, when you're experiencing the pain of a cash flow problem, or you really believe that in order to continue in your business, you need some rent concessions, that's when you go do it. But it's great to have your financials and a business and cash flow forecast to be able to show the landlord how you're going to get out of it.
Nice. Kind of the 2-step process.
Right. And then there's usually always ways to cut payroll, whether it's laying off employees or reducing employee hours. I mean, certainly you work to keep your A players and let go of inferior players. And in retail, another strategy to cut payroll hours is to change the store's operating hours and closing times, tighten them up. That way, if you could tighten them up to 8 to 9 hours, like we did at times, that's just like one shift, and it's easier to deal with, and it's easier to manage and schedule, and it cuts payroll. And then advertising, I just don't like cutting advertising, but there are ways to cut advertising without it making a dramatic impact on sales. And if you've been tracking what works for you, then of course, you'll know what to cut by eliminating the advertising that's not working. But other ways to cut is reducing sizes of ads, changing 4-color to 2-color, maybe running radio spots, condensing it from 60 seconds to 10-second ads, maybe even changing the radio's time spots where you might do a couple more overnights to try to reduce the cost. But if you haven't been tracking your advertising, then shame on you, because it's difficult to make uneducated choices on where to cut advertising, and it poses a great risk. And then insurance. Start with health insurance. Get quotes from 4 health insurance providers. What I found is that although rates are basically the same, you'll find one creative provider out of the 4 who will figure out a way to cut your medical insurance costs to the lowest possible amount. And you may have to reduce the employer paid portion and put more of the cost burden on the employees. But one thing that works very well for my clients, especially, is they have younger employees, and you can increase your deductibles. And you can increase the deductibles, and then if the employee reaches that old deductible amount, you can reimburse them for the overage. Because for the most part, young people don't hit their deductible. And then from commercial insurance, you get 4 commercial insurance providers. Commercial insurance carriers get very competitive and usually sharpen their pencils on general liability policies. If you have an umbrella policy, you can reassess the need to continue that, as well as get competitive quotes on those. And let me give you an example of a client I helped. I had a client in the construction business that had an umbrella policy that was costing him $17,000 per year. However, the reason they were having the umbrella policy was bidding on huge commercial jobs. Now, in the previous year, they didn't win not one of any of those large commercial jobs. They weren't even close. And to be honest with you, large commercial jobs was really not part of their market that they would compete in. It wasn't their sweet spot. Their sweet spot was mid-range jobs that, didn't require to carry an umbrella. So we dropped the umbrella and saved 17 grand. And, most business owners wait until there's a downturn in their business before they assess the size of their overhead.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, Michael. That's the stream of questions that we've been getting on this is, I would say I would classify a number of these questions under the category of timing, the timing to have these kinds of conversations, right? Your take on that, Michael, is that be proactive as a business owner, right? Don't wait till the roof is sort of caving in.
Yeah, well, with respect to insurance and advertising, that should always be looked at. Always. So you don't have to wait till you're in trouble for that one. Insurance and advertising really, really needs to be looked at constantly. Let me end with this, Chucky, because I know we have to leave time for compliments. The 7 steps that'll leverage your company revenue. I know what you're saying out there. What about all the other things that I have to do? I can't just focus on these 7 things. Well, what I have to say for that is something Chucky and I call AIDCO. AIDCO is the mnemonic. And when you need something done, look to A, automate the task. Look for I, innovate. Find a creative way to complete the task, or D, delegate the task to an employee, or C, cancel or eliminate the task if it's unimportant, and finally, O, outsource the task to a subcontractor. Focusing on the 7-step pathway to profit formula in conjunction with AIDCO will finally get your time back. And Chucky, just before I hand it off to you, I do want to review those 7 steps again. Leads, conversions, closing rates, client retention, average dollar per sale, frequency of sale, and costs. Time for compliments, Chucky.
7 steps.
Thank you for watching. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with other business owners who might benefit. For more in-depth content and services to help you achieve business success, visit us at nextstepcfo.net. Stay tuned for more, and we'll catch you in the next video.